What is going on, movie lovers? Welcome back to Apocalypse Movies. My name is Jake Blinn, and I will be your host for this very special spoiler discussion breakdown of Mission Impossible Fallout, the sixth film in the franchise. We got Tom Cruise, we got Simon Pegg, Ving Rhames, Henry Cavill, Rebecca Ferguson, and a number of others that we'll definitely be mentioning throughout this process. Before we get started on the actual review, I want to mention the table members with me today. I got Jacob Bartley to my left.
Hello.
And I got Keith Barnes straight in front of me. Jacob and I obviously did our little spoiler review just a few days ago. Kind of a short talking of the film as quickly as we could. And even though there's a lot going on in this movie, Keith, we have not talked about it yet. Jacob and I, neither of us know your thoughts on it. We've been sitting on it for basically a week now, and so we're very much looking forward to this. We're going to shoot for about 20 to 30 minutes just talking full Mission Impossible Fallout, trying to break out as much as we can, getting into some sweaty nerd talk about this movie and maybe some possibilities into the future. So let's go ahead and kick this off. I'm going to go ahead and go to Keith first since we have not heard his thoughts. Just initial reactions, quickly, a few sentences, what you thought, and then we'll kind of get into some more details a little bit later on.
Love this movie. Oh, man. I can't think of any other. I mean, there are not a whole lot of film franchises that have, I don't know, multiple, like, let's say past 3 movies. I mean, there's probably more than I can think of. I don't know, but whatever, you guys can comment.
It's not.
There are. But I don't think there's
it's not
that
common
many
for them to go past that far.
yeah.
You know.
Well, and we had mentioned in the review
successful.
they were all in the 90%
Right.
for Rotten Tomatoes.
That's
Like,
I saw a
The
thing
last
about
3,
that.
yeah,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I was gonna say. Yeah, they each one keeps getting better and better
It's
and
nuts,
better.
man.
It's that, and I love that. I love that because, I remember I've seen all of them in theater.
Oh,
Really?
so jealous.
Yeah.
So jealous.
Oh, I was at opening night for the first one. I was
so
I think I
jealous.
was a senior in high school.
Oh,
Maybe
Wow.
11th grade, whatever. But
That's awesome.
and that was huge. There was so much
I
hype
love the
for that.
first one. Honestly, I think it's underappreciated, but
It's good. I think it's just it's unnecessarily complicated. It's
aren't
good.
they all though?
Well,
they've been able to wrangle the complication.
yes,
Yeah.
In the
they've
recent
simplified
ones.
it and made it
Yeah.
a little more. We'll talk about it a little more sort of real. I said realistic in quotes, but
Oh, it's realistic.
well, yeah.
I'm Ethan Hunt in different life.
Yeah,
Like, come on.
yeah. Well, that's one of the things I love is they brought back the masks.
Oh, dude.
too many
That's
masks
such a
in the
good
film.
part of the
Well,
franchise.
I know because in
So
the
good.
which one of the last one or 4.
It was
5,
Ghost
they didn't
Protocol.
have-
No,
the
it
mask
was
thing
Rogue
broke
Nation. They didn't use them.
because the thing broke.
It broke, but they used him in Ghost Protocol multiple times with Simon Pegg. He used it multiple times, but it also broke in that movie when he went off on the building in Dubai. That's why he had to climb
that's
up.
right. That's
Just
right.
because it
in
broke.
this
Because it
movie
broke in the-
too,
It broke-
'cause
it did break, yeah, right.
But
Yeah,
but
right.
they did use him in
Yeah,
Ghost
yeah,
Protocol.
yeah.
Then they obviously used him in 3 with Philip Seymour
Yeah,
Hoffman.
which was great.
Oh yeah, that was great. Yeah. No.
Oh yeah, and that's right. Because I remember before he had to do the
It
the
kind
Russian
of
climbed
never
up,
gets
yeah.
old.
At the
very
honestly.
beginning when they blew
it
up.
never gets old.
Yeah, yeah.
Even the
No,
last
I
time they
love
did
that.
at
Well,
the end of this movie,
it's so
entertaining.
What's so fun about it is how excited Simon Pegg gets about it.
Yeah.
Oh, I
That's
know,
like
he,
his
geeks
gag.
out.
Like
Yeah.
his thing in the franchise is
Yeah.
wearing, and he says the word mask so cool. It's like mosques.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like how can you like not love someone who says
Yeah.
like mosques?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. Oh, and I love it because like I had this very same thought. I remember watching Rogue Nation, where and it's a scene that involved Alec Baldwin, where everyone's standing around. It was a similar scene to Rogue Nation where they had the British Prime Minister and Renner, and I'm going to talk about Renner too in a second. And a bunch of them standing around, and I'm thinking like, any one of these guys could be Tom Cruise.
Yeah, anyone.
Like, I'm just waiting for, even though Tom Cruise was there.
That's such a cool aspect of the franchise is that you don't know who's who
Any
at
one
some
of them can
point.
pull off a mask.
Yeah.
Ethan Hunt. I'm waiting for somebody to pull off an Ethan Hunt mask, and then somebody else to I want to see double masks. I want to see.
That was the cool thing about that involved one of the big twists of this movie. And we're kind of going to scatter a little bit of just talking about it, but when Simon Pegg had the mask on of playing,
that was the
Lane,
best one. Yeah,
That's
because you did not see it coming.
What I love about that scene too is
neither did Henry Cavill.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. And I love that because it felt like we knew it wasn't, but it felt like, okay, that's it. They did it. Movie's over. And it wasn't, obviously, but that could have ended. Like, it could have ended there. I think I think if this movie had come out maybe 10 or 12 or even back in maybe like the 96 era during the first 2 or 3, that probably would have been the whole movie.
Like they catch him and that's
and
it.
they catch him and it
well, we
set
knew
him
the
up the way
helicopter
they
scene
did.
was coming though.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Because
Because I remember
Or
seeing
was it in
it
the movie
because
yet?
you and I were at the same showing. We weren't like sitting together, but and I remember watching it thinking, well, what's gonna happen? Like, how are they gonna get to where, you know? So it's just very cleverly done. I like the way there's a lot of some of the tropes we've seen in all of them. And some tropes that we see in all kind of spy espionage movies, but they're so cleverly done. You and I talked about it after the movie. Like it's
They
so
make 'em
cleverly
fresh,
done.
yeah.
It's fresh. Yeah, they come up with creative new ways to do everything. And just McQuarrie, again, a writer directing this movie. Just great job. I want to see more. Keep making these movies, man. I'm not tired of them.
They shouldn't slow down the momentum.
keep
I
making-
don't.
keep
I
making
don't.
them
right now.
I don't think they will because Tom Cruise. He's tried to leave the franchise multiple times and do stuff. He did Oblivion, which wasn't bad, but it wasn't great.
I never saw that.
He did The Mummy, which
Nah,
was
Not
bad.
good at all.
He keeps coming back to this franchise because
Exactly.
Edge of
he's-
Tomorrow. Did
well,
McQuarrie write
Edge
that?
of Tomorrow did great.
I think McQuarrie
Well,
wrote
it was
that
a
as well.
great
It was a
movie,
great
but it didn't
movie.
perform well.
It did
Just
not
didn't make
perform
it
well,
money.
but they are making a sequel to that.
Yeah, because it was a great movie.
Exactly, and so, but he keeps coming back just because you have a great cast around you.
Yeah.
It's a franchise that, I mean, it had the biggest opening of the franchise so far in 61 million, I
60,
think
yeah.
it was, which doesn't seem like a lot, but for this type of movie,
Yeah.
And for this time of year, too.
It's a-
that's lot.
it's a
For
ton.
an
Very good.
straight action movie,
Yeah,
it's
it's
not
a
superhero
ton.
comic book.
Yeah.
It's great.
and so I don't see why he wouldn't slow down. And after seeing this movie, he's never done so many real stunts in one single film. It shows that he has a true passion for it still.
Oh, absolutely.
Like Jacob and I
Yeah.
talked about it, but that motorcycle scene, I was watching a feature.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
So
Featurette,
when I
they showed that.
edited
Oh,
that our review, I watched the featurette again.
Mm-hmm.
They messed up something while shooting that scene, and he basically said, "Forget it, let's do it. I'll jump on the bike, get me on camera, and we'll shoot it."
Yeah.
Without a helmet
That's
on, too.
that's
he was riding
60
that bike
miles an
on the
hour in
streets
Paris.
without
Like
a
that's
helmet on.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know he signed
Wow.
crazy contracts like you cannot sue the studio if something
Yes.
happens. Like,
No,
there
yeah.
has to be some
100%,
crazy, but he's like,
100%.
I'll do it. He doesn't care.
He's
Yeah.
starting
Awesome.
to. He's just looking at his face, and he's starting to. You can see the age kind of because he's like 55, 56.
Yeah,
something
but
like that.
after this long,
Like he's almost 60.
Yeah.
And he still looks
It's
great,
crazy,
but he's
yeah.
starting to look a little older. At some point, they're going to have to pass it off to someone.
Well, the thing is, when it is
I
his
don't know.
last one, if they're gonna let us know. You know, it's
sure.
gonna be the
Maybe.
Logan quote unquote of the Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
franchise,
Well,
where they
that-
sent him
it's
off
it's
in a
interesting
way.
because ever since the movie came out, like Christopher McQuarrie has been doing interviews and they've been releasing statements from him, and they talked about Ethan Hunt's death, and
Really?
yeah, I guess they considered it for this movie.
For
and
this
Tom
movie.
and Tom
Okay.
Cruise was saying that
Oh.
he has no problem killing Ethan Hunt as long as
Hmm.
it's sacrificial. It has a
Yeah.
meaning.
Yeah.
It sends him off in a good way, and so it
Hmm.
seems like they've kind of thrown around that idea. And they were also talking about how
Wow.
this movie originally had Ethan Hunt actually on a darker path.
Oh,
where
really?
so you know in the film where he kind of takes on that role of Lark. And
Yeah.
he just to mess around with them to
Yeah,
make sure
well,
that they know
They showed that hypothetical situation where
Exactly.
he could have killed the innocent
exactly.
cops, yeah.
Well, that hypothetical situation was going to be around the entire movie.
Really?
He was actually going to become Lark, and he was going to go down a different part just
Really?
to get the mission done.
I mean, I would love to see that.
And so it shows that McQuarrie and Cruise are not afraid to try something different.
Yeah.
And this movie, even though they didn't go down that path, this was the darkest movie of them all as far as the story, just because one of how it began, they lost the plutonium. He shot Luthor, even though Luthor didn't die.
Yeah.
Obviously, Henry Cavill being in the mix and then turning bad on him. Them possibly losing Alec Baldwin, like that was a big death. And so it was definitely
Yeah,
the darkest
he's
and
not
most
dead.
gritty of
Well,
all of
we'll
them.
see.
And so it just shows that this franchise isn't really slowing down in any aspect.
Yeah, I know it wasn't another real scene, but he said when Ving Rhames tries to stop him, and he's like, "That's not how we do things," and he said, "Maybe we should reconsider that."
Exactly.
I thought that was a real, it was a real scene, but it was when they were trying to trick that guy.
Yeah.
And that was one of my favorite scenes.
It was good.
When they pulled down the box.
was
and
good.
they faked that news scene.
Yeah.
How many times did they use the masks? And
There is again the
Yeah,
mask.
exactly.
That was like
Never
that was like
got
something out
old.
of the TV series.
Yeah,
was
that was
so
good.
cool.
That was really good.
They really got
That
him.
was great.
But yeah, I would love. He kind of did, like, he showed a little bit of a dark side because he was thinking about, okay, I'm gonna have to kill innocent cops, and like, should I?
Yep.
Then he came up with a new plan. So he's
Yeah.
tinkering with, the dark path.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I mean, we touched on Tom Cruise a little bit. Let's touch on the villains. I mean, there's obviously we have Lane, who comes back from Rogue Nation, played by Sean Harrison. He plays a much bigger role than I expected him to in this movie.
Yeah.
He was only teased in the trailers, didn't really, he kind of had a voiceover, but he was the big bad. Like, there's no doubt about it. He was the big bad. Followed by the twist of Henry Cavill, obviously
Yes.
being John Lark, being the true adversary to Ethan Hunt in this movie, the one go to toe to toe as far as muscles and action point. And then you have the White Widow as well, who was a little bit of a villain, but also playing the good side because she was working with the CIA. Jacob, I had mentioned this to Jacob in the review, but we don't get movies anymore really where, all the side villains are just as strong as the main villain. And I could not be happier with how they did it because it made them film that much better.
Yeah, or just multiple villains in
Yes.
general, because Sean Harris and Henry Cavill, they're kind of have equal roles. Like,
Even though he was
he's more in
working
the
for him,
action, yeah,
yes.
they're both big villains.
Exactly.
The White Widow was a side villain, but even she was great on screen.
Yeah,
All of her scenes
she
were
was.
great. And for me, it's Henry Cavill is the best part of this movie. I mean, minus Tom Cruise, he's so great, we know that. But Henry Cavill made this movie for me. He was the reason I was so excited for this, because they showed it in the trailer a million times. But when he gets ready to fight that one guy in the bathroom scene,
they're calling it loading his arms. Like
yeah,
a gun.
that's what I'm
It's
saying.
loading his arms.
That was so cool. And then I gotta say, that bathroom scene is my favorite scene of the whole movie.
It's so
that
good.
Scene is incredible.
So good.
Not only because of the action, but the fact that Lark, or Walker is his real name, whatever you want to call him, he hired that guy and was gonna, knowing that he's probably like one of the best fighters in the world.
He's the greatest martial artist in the world.
Because he took on Ethan Hunt and
he would have
Walker,
killed both of them.
and
They
he
had,
was
they
going
had to
to,
shoot
yeah.
Dude,
him.
they were getting their ass whooped.
Yeah.
They
He's
were
like, we
literally getting
never
their ass
He
whooped.
was he was like
we
Jet
rarely
Li.
ever see it where the heroes cannot handle somebody.
Yeah.
And these two guys, two of the top agents in the U.S. government, could not handle this guy.
It was like
so
it was
amazing.
like Jet Li in Lethal Weapon.
Well,
It was
here's the
so
interesting thing
amazing.
about that scene. So when we first saw it in trailers, we're like, oh my god, we're going to be seeing Henry Cavill and Tom Cruise going fist to fist with each other.
Yeah.
That's what it looked
It
like. In
wasn't-
I know.
and
They
that's-
were
and it made it
working
down-
together.
And
Yeah.
even though it's not what we were expecting, the scene was that good.
Oh yeah.
And then it
so
finished
good.
off with obviously
Rebecca Ferguson.
had to shoot him in
Elsa,
the head.
yeah, Elsa killing him, and then the whole comedy bit where she's holding Henry Cavill's head with the blood everywhere, and
Yeah,
it,
yeah.
kind of tips it
That was
off a
pretty
little
good.
bit, but
The comedy worked well in this movie.
it's
too,
so
honestly.
it's placed perfectly.
Just nice, yeah, moments of levity. It wasn't overly done, but it worked in well enough to
Well,
kind of balance out the.
And
Even the bathroom stall. Was
Well,
pretty
yeah,
funny,
and
That
but
was very fun.
why it works so well to me, anyways, because it's so realistic. Because when you work in a team, that's what happens.
Mhm.
When you're so close to someone like Ethan Hunt and Simon Pegg character, Benji,
Exactly, yeah.
or Ethan Hunt and Ving Rhames character, who's been around from the very beginning.
They know each other
You
so well.
create that type of chemistry between everyone.
That's the thing, and we're gonna get to the villain, but that's the thing I think works so well about these movies, because at this point, Ving Rhames is the only other guy who have been in
around,
all
yeah.
the movies, and we've had Peg since
Peg
the
for-
third one.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And
yeah.
now we've got
Rebecca Ferguson,
back for the
who I
second
can't
one.
wait to see in more of these.
Because
man.
that's
She's
well,
so
and
good.
that's one of my minor criticisms just of the whole series, that they keep replacing the female.
Yeah.
But I think
characters.
she's around to stay.
It seems
I
like
think they solidified that.
Well,
it seems
I-
like it.
she's
But they've
free
all been
now,
awesome.
too.
Like I love Maggie Q in the third one. It's like, well, I wish they would have brought her back. And
But I think it's because they keep changing directors, and
Probably.
Christopher McQuarrie knows this material. He's
Yeah.
like, I want to create something
Yeah.
Mhm.
that
And,
can
yeah.
continue.
it's a
and-
great team, and
I think
yeah,
that's the
I
team
think,
from
yes.
now on.
And I think this because we like I said, we've come to get to know all of them. Particularly the three with Peg, Cruz, and Ving Rhames. Like they have a
Cruz
great.
says when it's them four in the room, I don't trust anybody outside.
Well, and
the
they
room.
also-
yeah, and that's right.
They also
right.
made us. They made it clear that Rebecca Ferguson, she's free now. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
nothing
that's-
holding her
yeah,
back.
exactly.
So now she can do what she wants, walk away, or join them to do
Right.
whatever she wants. So yeah, I mean it's.
Although I do hope
team
they bring back
aspect.
Renner. We'll I guess get to him.
Well,
I was,
so
I was
here's
fully expecting
and
to see him.
So I don't think you guys have actually read this, but I actually read this today earlier because they're doing all these statements and everything. And Christopher McQuarrie actually revealed that he asked Renner to do a small cameo in this film, even though he was around in the Avengers.
okay.
And he actually turned it down.
Really?
Oh.
And here's the reason why.
Wow.
Christopher McQuarrie, his original idea was to actually kill a team member in the beginning of the film when Ving Rhames was shot, and it was going to be Brandt.
Jeremy Renner's
to
character?
sacrifice.
Are you
He was going to
serious?
sacrifice himself for the team. He wanted a moment, a dark moment like that, because they had
Oh.
just lost the plutonium. Team member sacrificing himself, and Jeremy Renner said, "No, I'm
so
okay."
glad they didn't do that.
Yeah, me too.
Because I love his character.
So
too.
that was the original plan when
Wow.
Jeremy Renner said when his schedules didn't line up, and Mission Impossible didn't really
he was
have.
shooting Tag and Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Well,
and then he broke his
Avengers.
arm.
Well, McQuarrie,
Avengers,
said that,
yeah.
that there wasn't even a schedule for the Impossible films yet, and he
Right.
had schedules for the other films, so he couldn't commit.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was like, "Hey, can we fly you out for a few days to do this cameo?" And he said, "No, I don't want to do that."
Yeah.
And so they moved forward, and that's when Ving Rhames stepped into that role. But
That's good.
there was a plan in place
Well,
to
I'm glad that
actually
worked
kill
out.
him.
That way. Yeah, I'm glad
He was
that
gonna
worked out
sacrifice
that way.
himself.
Yeah,
he could do so much with that character.
I know.
He
He'd
can
be a great. He doesn't have to. See, I don't.
But
People
he-
want him to replace Tom Cruise. I don't necessarily.
I don't want him to
do
replace
that.
Tom Cruise.
I want him to
I,
work with
I don't.
him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was so good in Ghost Protocol, but then he was so much better in Rogue Nation.
Yeah.
Because he kind of foiled because he's the political side of it all.
Right.
He works in the government,
Right.
even though he has this action side of him.
Oh yeah, he can do both.
And so he's almost like a parole officer to Ethan Hunt. Like he has to keep him in check and make sure everything's going well, and that's what makes it so interesting.
He's like his PR guy trying to
Yeah.
fight off the
But it'll be interesting. After hearing those comments, I don't know if Renner will return. That's the thing.
yeah, he probably felt offended in a way. Like,
Yeah,
you just
like,
want to bring
just-
me back just to kill me off.
I mean, I'm
Like,
sure
why
that
am
there
I
will be
gonna
a
do
point
that?
like
Yeah.
if
well, they
they
give him something to do.
Yeah, and I think he
he'll.
will because who knows what's going to happen with Hawkeye and
Yeah,
everything
I was
like
gonna
that.
say it's
And
the same
so,
thing with Hawkeye.
But it's interesting to see how that all played out, and
Yeah.
I mean, so
We'll see what happens.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
So does anybody have any significant negatives? I know we talked about it, but
I
like,
don't know.
It's tiny
It's
nitpicks.
nitpicky,
Yeah.
nitpicky. Like I said, and mine has more to do, like I said, with the whole series. I mentioned the thing about the female characters. Rebecca Ferguson's awesome. Obviously, we talked about her, but
I would have liked to have seen her in this movie more. If
Yeah.
I'm going
I
to
think
nitpick,
they gave her more to do than the last one.
I don't know, man. She
But-
was in Rogue Nation
No,
a lot.
I watched it the next day, Rogue Nation, and first of all, the two movies
They
tied
played together perfectly. Yes.
I wish I'd watched it first and then
Yeah.
gone and watch this one, but I think she had more to do in this one. I think
Interesting,
I think
okay.
she had more.
What I think it is, she's in the whole movie for Rogue Nation, but she only shows up like halfway through, or not. I mean,
Like
a
the
little
40,
less
like
than
the
halfway
30,
through. Yeah,
40
exactly.
minute mark in this
But the
one.
fact that I think she has more of an emotional kind of connection because
her role is more
That's
significant
what I'm
in
saying.
this one, but she was in
Yes.
Rogue Nation more.
because the fact that she has
Exactly,
to
yeah.
she
That
has
makes
to
sense.
kill this guy.
Yeah.
What's his name again?
Lane. Lane.
Solomon Lane.
Solomon
yeah.
So Lane, yeah, the fact that she has to, okay, you kill him, and now no, we'll let you back in the country, because that was her whole mission in the first movie was,
Yeah.
I just want to go home, I want to get out of
Yep.
this and go home, and the fact that she was working with him, now she has to kill this guy, and then it's like, you kill him, take care of this, then we'll let you back, and like I felt that more in this one than in the last one.
No, I think that she was definitely used
But I think-
better in
yeah,
this one, 100%.
And they do a good job of kind of each time with her, like you start off, you don't really know. Okay, what is she doing? What's her role here? What's her agenda? Is she on our side? Is she working with somebody else? That she, what's she doing? And I think I like that they don't have her turn. That's one of the things I like is that the guys that are good, they stay good. They don't. They're not.
There's no big turns,
Yeah.
twists, or whatnot.
Cavill's a guy you didn't know if you could fully
Exactly,
trust
yeah.
him necessarily.
He only
They
showed
thought-
up in this movie.
Maybe he can, but then obviously the thing with the cell phone, which is very well done. I liked how they did that. He showed the phone's cracked, and then he
not
hands-
cracked.
That was
Yeah.
okay.
It
we
was
know he's
immediately,
up to something,
immediately,
yeah.
I'm like, okay, this guy's
Yeah.
he's not on the level at all.
But that's cool. They don't hide it. Like
Yeah.
Well, that's
they
the
don't
thing.
need to hide it.
They were
They
letting
keep
us know.
Yeah,
he's
it was
dark.
gradually like building to a point to where we
and it's
knew.
okay to
Yeah.
know sometimes.
Yeah.
you
Right,
know?
and that's what. Yeah, right. And real quick too, Angela Bassett, awesome. Hopefully
She will have
she's
a bigger
new-
role in the next
yeah,
one. She
she's
will
gonna
have
be
a
the
bigger
new-
role.
That's another little minor thing I was gonna get to is like the first couple. Anthony Hopkins is the boss of the IMF. Then it's Lawrence Fishburne in part 3. Then they bring in Baldwin, and now they've got Angela Bassett.
I
guess.
do, and Jacob
It's
mentioned
weird
this on
that
a
they
review, but he may not be dead. There's a
I
chance.
thought about that. Yeah,
There's a
Yeah.
chance.
He could have
could
just
still-
passed out.
If-
and
if
maybe
he-
got in
if
a
he
hospital
does-
bed,
if he
'cause
does
they didn't show
die-
him. They didn't
Right.
show a
Yeah.
funeral
Right,
at the end
right,
or
right.
nothing.
If he does die, it's going to suck because I would have liked to have seen that consistency.
Yeah.
Because he was a really cool counterpart to Ethan because
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
he didn't like him at first, obviously, and then he
Exactly.
grew to realize how important he was to this whole thing going on.
Okay.
And so would have had a really cool relationship
Yes.
going forward.
And that scene where they trick
Henry
Mark,
Cavill,
yeah,
dude,
that was
so
great.
good.
Because I was
So
a little
good.
caught off guard on
Well,
that one.
Me
and
too.
It was
It's like,
great
cool.
when he goes, "Welcome to the team, sir."
Right.
Exactly.
Oh, and even he
that-
has this moment where he's
That's what
like,
I'm
saying.
I see why you guys like doing this so
Exactly,
much.
which
Like,
is
I
why
was-
it's so hard to
yeah.
see him go if he
Right.
does die.
I was thinking he could have
Yeah.
became somebody else that Ethan Hunt trusted.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
So it's
that see
unfortunate,
now
yeah.
that's part of my kind of I guess it's nitpicky criticism about, again, not fully this movie, but this is the third movie in a row where it's like, okay, we think Ethan Hunt's gone rogue. We gotta go after him. He's doing whatever. He's off just.
This one was
creating-
different though.
Uh,
They've never framed
Well, no,
and
here's
made
the
him a
thing.
bad guy.
no,
working
but there's
with-
always a
he
situation.
was good in the
where-
beginning. He was safe and good working for American government in the
Yes.
beginning, and then they started framing him like we watched him get framed.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but that's my point.
It happened again.
What I'm talking about is the CIA
Well,
or
so-
whoever is in charge keeps saying, "All right, IMF, we got to shut them down. They're going rogue."
I'm
again."
gonna go.
no,
full.
it's not. IMF's got to. Okay, no, we're not. You remember the last 3 times you thought that, and it wasn't
Exactly,
us, and
yeah.
we had to fight off the
I know
guys
what you
who
mean. It can
actually
get
did it.
tiring.
I'm gonna go
And
full
fight
Mission
you guys.
Impossible nerd on you, Roke. Just real quick because Ghost Protocol, the Ghost Protocol went into effect, which means that he didn't necessarily go rogue, that no one was backing them. So it
Yeah.
was a team going on their own.
Yeah.
There were no equipment, everything like that. They were just on their own.
Yeah.
Rogue Nation, he went rogue. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, now Fallout, he's turned into a bad guy because he's being framed. So
Right.
to me, those are 3 different circumstances.
They've done it differently.
Yeah, they have.
It's essentially the same thing, but they do
But
it
what
differently.
you hit it right. It's essentially, but though CIA wants to shut them down because they think he's a liability or a
Was the
problem.
CIA in Ghost
Uh,
Protocol? Am I missing something?
Well, I just think the American government,
The government.
in general, in some
But
form,
was the government really involved in that one?
in Ghost Protocol.
Yeah.
that was Baldwin. Was not Baldwin. Renner was.
Renner
not,
was Renner was his assistant to the guy who died, the IMF chief. And
So he was IMF. Was
he was the
I thought he was
assistant to
I mean,
the
the
head guy who
government's always
died.
involved, but once I forget exactly.
Whoever's
what point,
see, that's one of the confusing things. I don't. Where does IMF fall in the chain? Are they above CIA?
They're
or
above
below?
CIA, and I think it comes down to certain missions, to certain things like the pieces of the government maybe tasked certain things
Yeah.
that go on, and I think they're just one of the things that falls under a certain umbrella in the government.
Whoever they answer to wants to shut them down.
I think it's the
And
president.
they keep having to fight them off.
I think
and
it's the
prove that
president,
it's not
man.
them. Well, maybe. But how many times the president had this situation happen? And oh wait, no, they actually saved the day. Maybe it's not them. Like maybe it's not us. Once you think about that, every time this happens, you guys think it's us. It's not us. Like, yeah, it's
maybe
fine.
they do
I
something
get it.
different going forward.
Well, and here's the interesting thing is what if Alec Baldwin didn't, or what if he died, and we're all expecting Angela Bassett to take over. What if she doesn't take over, and IMF kind of falls under the protocol of CIA,
Yeah.
and now everything's okay because she vouches for them
Sure.
after everything that happened.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
They may be
Gives them
rising the
free,
ranks.
yeah.
Ethan Hunt maybe get a little more credibility.
Give them
Exactly.
full autonomy to do whatever they need to do to
Yeah.
save the world. Which
Yeah.
so that's all right. Yeah, I don't mind that. So I guess Henry Cavill. So is he's the Syndicate now? Is he the main?
No,
'cause
he's the
Syndicate-
apostle.
Mhm.
He's an apostle.
That's
The
right. I
syndicate,
forgot
the
about that.
syndicate were killed by Cavill. Remember?
Yeah,
he
that's
was
right.
hunted
He
to
did say
kill
that.
the syndicate
That's right.
members,
That's right.
and then the
That's right.
apostle rose up.
That's right.
Which I think throughout that he may even recruited,
Yeah.
or he killed the ones who didn't want to join him, and the apostles
But
recruited.
did he start the Syndicate as well?
No, that was Lane.
Just so he could. So
that was Lane. Lane is the overarching bad guy.
Because the Syndicate was all a bunch of rogue agents from around the world.
from every organization. Lane started it, and Cavill fell under that. He worked for Lane.
See, I felt like Lane worked for him.
Mm-mm.
Because that manifesto, he said he wrote that.
He wrote it, but remember,
he
Lane
was
was in
the-
prison. That's why. He was under guard for
That's
the
kind of-
past 2 years.
So he kind of took it
Running
over
things
while
for him
Lane.
while he
and
was in
and
prison.
Cavill has been out doing all this stuff.
They
They
were
probably had some
working
kind of
together,
communication.
but it was more Lane's plan.
Sure.
than
Oh, yeah,
all.
Yes.
definitely.
And
Watching
you know what? The
Rogue
thing that makes these movies so great, they make it personal because
Oh,
Lane
yeah,
dude.
has it
He just
out
has
for
this
Ethan Hunt.
full on. Yeah.
He doesn't want to kill him. He wants to
Well,
make him suffer.
Right.
And they make it personal with the hero, with Ethan Hunt.
The real
was
Joker,
I forget
Batman
who. I
kinda.
was talking to one of you guys about
That's-
this, but they made
it's a-
this the most personal movie for
It's
Ethan
a
Hunt.
perfect. That's a perfect simile, just because they have a respect for each other.
Yeah.
when they're in the car with each other chasing in Paris, when they're being chased down by I don't know whoever it was, and you see them looking at each
Rebecca
other.
Ferguson, right? Wasn't it?
It was
Yeah.
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah.
They have a certain respect for each
Yeah.
other, and
Well, they hate each other to
they.
death.
But it's
But-
there's a line. It's like Joker and Batman. It's
Yeah.
a perfect simile.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like it's a rivalry pretty much,
Yeah.
but it's much personal than that. Like he set up this whole elaborate plan to make sure that his ex-wife,
His ex-wife,
the
yeah.
person he cares about the most, was
Oh.
in that place.
Yeah, right.
Which was used perfectly.
I
It
loved
was
that
used
because they were saying,
perfectly.
"Oh, why did he set up this medical camp?"
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, yeah.
And the way
It's-
they revealed it, and when he sees her, the look on his face.
Yeah,
He's just
he's
like-
horrified.
and
And he
says,
knows.
"I'm sorry,"
He
he
knows.
gives her a
He
hug,
figures it all out. He's like,
and he
"Ah."
starts running. It's so good.
Well, and the look on her face when
Yeah.
he says, "I'm working."
Right.
Like she knows right
something's
away
wrong.
something is wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were
Wes
talking about
Bentley-
how it's
Wes Bentley showed up.
realistic, right?
Yeah.
Quote unquote. Everything that happens within the action and all the stunts could technically really happen. It's outrageous and out there, but everything that happens could hypothetically happen. Like nothing's.
No,
There's
it
no
could, it
magic,
could
there's
easily
no-
happen.
Hmm.
I mean,
Which
maybe
one of
the-
which one of the four
maybe
major
the
stunts do you think could have
technology's
happened?
not there.
How about all 4 of the helicopter crashes that he should have done?
Well, okay, the helicopter crashes are different, but
That was
the
great.
aerial
Everything else
fights
is great.
himself,
No, everything else is great.
the aerial fights himself could have easily.
Did they
happened.
really? I think they really did those halo jumps, right?
Yes,
Didn't they? That's what I
They
heard.
did.
Yeah, that was.
they did.
Was
What were your
crazy.
thoughts on the lightning strike?
That was.
Oh my gosh,
Dude,
That actually, I'm a person I rarely get startled.
It was awesome.
I actually went, oh,
It was
Because
awesome.
when they say
Fully
you don't
didn't
think they're
expect
going to
it.
do it, and then he said it, and right away.
and it
hit
right
by
away.
lightning,
Yeah, I was like, oh man, and he had. Do you think he was faking that, or do you think he was really?
No,
Because
I
there's
think
no
he was
way, 'cause
knocked
there's no way he
out.
could have planned the lightning.
I think he
strike.
was. I think he was knocked out.
Okay. Okay.
That was
Yeah.
funny.
Not
when
the lightning
Ethan
strike, but just
Hunt
him being knocked
falls.
out.
I think he was definitely. I mean, there's the possibility because he was trying to kill Ethan Hunt,
Right.
obviously, but his plan wouldn't have gone through if he'd killed him then. That
True.
entire
Yeah, you're
thing,
right.
he wouldn't have been able to get laid out. His goal was to get laid
Yeah,
out.
right. That's right.
So
That's
I
right.
think
Yeah,
he
you're
was definitely knocked
That's
out. I
right.
mean,
Okay.
it was topped off with, "You lost your oxygen."
Yeah.
Like
That was hilarious.
a good comedy moment again. Like
They
a good
had no
comedy
idea.
moment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, I just
Um,
love the little details, like when he's climbing up the helicopter and he falls,
Yes.
and then he catches
Yeah.
himself. Like they didn't have
Oh.
to do that, but that just shows it does. He's not perfect. Like he's not gonna do everything perfectly. You
And
know?
a great, and this made me, I smiled in the theater so big, a great nod to Mission Impossible 2 with the rock climbing.
Yeah.
And that I immediately
Yeah.
went, oh, they're bringing it. Because I don't like Mission Impossible 2 at all. But I did like, that opening scene was pretty cool with him just free hand climbing the side of that mountain. And he's doing it again in this one. And he even did the little turnaround. Where
Yep.
he had to, that was
Yep.
great. I was like, that's very good. Very well done.
yeah, they're paying respect to the franchise.
Yeah.
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 This might have been the best version of the countdown 3, 2, 1.
Okay,
Save the
we
day
talked
right
about
before
that.
The bomb explodes because
That's good.
I love what they did.
That
They
was good.
cut to white.
Yeah.
And you're like, what just happened?
I thought the thing
And I
went
love
off.
he's just hanging off the
You're right.
rocks and
Well,
it spits the thing out.
It at first it looks like it went off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the
what
sunset
I'm
going
saying.
on, and then
It's
we
like,
find out
oh,
that
super
he
high
had it in his
sky,
mouth.
yeah.
You know,
It was just
Ethan
done
Hunt
differently
saves
because
the
we've seen
day.
that done so many times.
Right.
But
Yeah.
they did it different.
Yes.
That's what matters.
Yeah.
Which I
So
love, yeah.
I mean, we pretty much touched on everything we possibly could. We went hard on loving this film, but I have a question for you, and I got Jacob's thought on this, and this is pretty much directed at Keith. But is Ethan Hunt the new James Bond?
Well, listen, Bond.
Or let me ask this: is Mission Impossible the new James Bond?
Here's the thing. Bond's been knocked out a long time ago. Bond was knocked out by Jason Bourne. All
right.
Because everybody, when that happened,
That's true.
That
Jason
was-
Bourne is fantastic.
that's what everybody was saying. This
Yeah.
is the new Bond, and this
That trilogy was
so,
incredible.
right? And both these franchises, Bond and Mission Impossible, were catching up to Bourne in the early 2000s. So I think that set the standard for what we're getting from Bond and Mission Impossible since then. As far as them upping their game. Now, Bourne's kind of fallen off in the last couple of movies. I didn't mind the Renner one that much, but the last one was not great. But anyway, so and Bond had to, they had to change. The reason they cast Daniel Craig, a more tougher,
make something
grittier
different, yeah.
Bond to be more like Bourne, and even Mission Impossible, because Mission Impossible 3 came out just
06.
after,
It was
just
06.
after,
I think 06 and Casino Royale was 05.
So so like I said, they both adjusted themselves, I think, to the Bourne franchise, and but I think that I would still put those. Mission Impossible at the top just because of the three. I put Mission Impossible at the top. I would actually put Bourne ahead of Bond right now because.
Interesting.
So
were you not a fan of Skyfall?
Skyfall is very, very good. Very, very good. I think Casino Royale is the best.
Casino Royale is the best.
So here's the thing for me. It depends on the context what you're talking to them about. Bond is the best spy franchise of all time, I think, just because it's the classic, it's the original. It
Which
did
is
it.
based on longevity.
No one's saying. Let's say they make another.
There's a lot of
and it
bad
doesn't-
25
A lot of them are
If they
bad.
make 10 more Mission Impossible movies, and like it doesn't have to. They could reboot whatever. I'm just saying. Then we can start comparing them. But right now, Mission Impossible is the best spy franchise right now.
Right now.
Hands down. Bourne was that for a while in the
Yeah.
early 2000s, but right now, Mission Impossible
Yeah.
has the crown for sure.
I think personally for me, when I ask that question, I think about it. It comes down to the characters, and I think that Ethan Bourne has earned the status to have multiple actors
Ethan Hunt, yeah.
to replay him over time. I think the franchise has gotten to a point where you can have multiple missions over and over again, kind of like a Bond feel, to where multiple actors can take on that role of Ethan Hunt.
I think it's going to become that. Like it.
Well, I don't
gonna
want it to
be
become
classic.
a passing of the torch, which I think was what they're heading to.
Yeah,
I'd
I
rather see
think they
Ethan
will.
Hunt play over and over.
See, I
again.
don't think they'll do that.
Do you think it'll do continuing passing
Because
the
in the
torch?
original TV series, it was Jim Phelps. And
Which could be interesting. Maybe they pass it to Jim Phelps.
they killed Jim Phelps in the first one.
Oh, okay.
Because he
okay,
went
okay.
rogue.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
He went
Was
rogue and they
Ethan
killed
Hunt
him.
in
That's
the
right.
TV show?
No.
That's right.
Oh, so
He
they
was a
just-
character made up for the
They
film
created
franchise.
Ethan
Yes.
Hunt for the first
Bas-
movie?
I'm pretty. I should know that. My dad was a big Mission Impossible guy. So I used to watch him as a kid, and I don't recall an Ethan Hunt in the TV series. But
Leave it to Tom Cruise to want his own guy.
yeah, exactly. That's exactly. So I think they would just come up with a new character. I think. I don't know.
Maybe
But,
maybe they reboot it and do Jim.
just
Phelps.
yeah. That then
and then maybe
that's
they
a
pass it
possibility
to
as well.
Ethan Hunt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
or you have older Jim Phelps, younger Ethan Hunt.
Or maybe it's in Tom Cruise's contract. Don't ever do Mission Impossible with Ethan Hunt
With
ever
Ethan Hunt.
again.
That's kind of what I think.
That's
Ethan
very
Hunt is his
possible.
thing, you know,
That's
because
where I think
he
they
seems
go.
to never be going away.
Right.
So,
But the Mission Impossible name is solidifying itself.
That's a
so
brand.
much.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
yes.
always been.
it's
It's-
gonna be on the status. Like we're gonna talk about it 20 years from now.
well, I personally think it is the new James Bond, and
Yeah.
I said this in our review, and Keith doesn't know this, but getting to ratings and talking about it overall, this is the best film of 2018, and
I don't blame you
it
for that.
shows.
I do not blame you for that.
If you would have asked me as we were walking out, did I say that? I think I said, "Is this? That's might
You
be the
said-
best."
you
I said
said
might.
You know, in
Yeah.
your
You
Facebook
said
post,
you
you said might be
might
the
be.
best of
Yeah.
2018.
You said it might be.
So
yeah.
okay.
It is. 100%.
I can listen. I just mentioned it right, literally seconds before we started recording. As we're recording this, Avengers: Infinity War is out on digital. I've watched it twice in 2 days. I might watch it again tonight. I'm gonna stick with Infinity War.
Wait till you see Mission
But
Impossible.
I want to
second
see.
time.
I want to see that again. I'm gonna keep going back.
Yeah. Have you seen it twice?
I've been going back and forth
Which
on
one?
it.
Mission
Mission
Impossible?
Impossible.
No, I can't wait to see it. Again.
Yeah, I was thinking about going again this
I-
weekend.
Yeah, I tried to go again this weekend, but just couldn't
Yeah.
find the time.
I won't argue with that, but
I saw.
I'm gonna stick with
I
Infinity
saw
War.
Infinity War 4 times in theaters.
Yeah.
I saw Mission Impossible once, and I have this feeling after the first time, it's
can't-
only gonna get
it's
better
crazy,
for me.
yeah.
It's only
I
gonna
don't
get better
think
for
it'll
me.
be for all of us. Well, for me and you, I don't. When we get to the end of the year, it won't be any lower than second for sure.
I don't think so. I mean, there's a chance it could be, but I will say it's guaranteed to be in my top 3.
I'm gonna.
You never know what's gonna come out.
You're
All the
right.
indie movies
I
and all
can't
that type
remember.
of stuff, you
Fantastic
don't
Beasts.
know.
You're right.
Yeah,
You're right.
But I will say that it'll guarantee to be in my top 3.
Yeah. Because I remember, I asked you this about Ready Player One because you love Ready Player
Ready
One.
Player One's at number 3 right now.
So,
It's at number 3,
is
man.
Fallout your
Yeah.
number 2, Keith?
I think it's number 2.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, I think
I still have Infinity War at number 1, but like I have to see
It's a
this
very
movie
close
again.
second.
Like,
It's
It's all right. I was gonna say it's the movie with the least problems that has came out this year. Like I can't think of flaws, but then you could say Quiet Place as well is in that same regard to me. But it's the most entertaining movie with the least flaws that has came out in 2018. Like basically stating it's probably the best movie of the year. But for me, I have Infinity War and my number 1 movie of the year, but
Well, we always talk about
Yeah.
it that we've done it multiple times on our breakdowns of the year, top tens or
Best
whatever.
and favorites.
We have the best film of the year sitting at number
Mhm.
2, but our favorite is sitting at
That's
number
what
1.
happens, and honestly,
Yeah.
I might be
Yeah.
there with because my number 2 right now is Black Panther, and I'm like, I have a lot more problems with Black Panther than
Yeah.
I do with Infinity,
Yeah.
or excuse me, with Fallout.
Mission Impossible, yeah.
So I think Fallout is my number 2.
Yeah.
Wait till you see the second time. That's
And
what it's going to come down
I
to.
know there's a lot of like practical stunts, but there's definitely CGI in this movie. You can't do it without it.
The motorcycle
motorcycle-
chase has
What
a
I'm
little
saying-
bit.
When he went flying off the motorcycle,
But like
it was
the
a little-
Yeah.
CGI is pretty damn good though.
Yes.
It's very good.
There's no honestly there's no moments where I'm like, oh, that's bad CGI.
Well, like,
you
that's what I'm
noticed
saying.
it. You noticed it,
There
but it's
is
not
in Black
bad.
Panther, like there's some bad
There is in
CGI
Black
Panther.
And for me,
Having-
that actually
having-
alters my like how I feel
Sure.
about a movie.
Yeah, yeah.
It shouldn't too much, but it does.
Having watched Infinity War, like I said, because I'm now that I've seen it so much,
for me,
kind of
Infinity
looking at
War
this
is
stuff.
100% perfect CGI wise.
There, it's near that. The only thing wrong that I've noticed, just cause, like I said,
I think
seeing
I
so
know
much,
where you're
can bring it.
going with.
Well, there's two things. One of them was no, it's really just one. It's Thanos himself, who looks great, but the arm with the gauntlet is significantly bigger than his other arm.
Oh well, yeah.
It's weird to look at. Like I just looking at him.
I'll have to check that out the next
Never
time I
Look,
see it.
I mean,
yeah.
the
next time you see it
gauntlet-
again, just look
the
at it.
gauntlet is definitely
itself is
bigger.
huge, and that's what
Yeah.
I'm saying. And they
Yeah.
make that arm fill it out.
Interesting.
But when you look at his other arm, it's like
I'll have to
Alright.
check that
it
out.
looks
yeah.
kind of weird when you look. at
We'll
it.
see it. We'll see if Keith is actually just a little bit cuckoo on that
Yeah,
one. So we'll find
just
out.
listen.
Well, do we want to give any kind of ratings, or just want to leave it at that? I mean, we pretty much talked about the movie, gave it as high praise as we possibly could. I don't know if we want to go into ratings.
A plus, 99.99. What else? What else is there? 10. Although if I give it 10, I guess I can't say 99.99.
You'll give it a 9.9.
9.9.
Yeah.
9.9.
I'll give it a 10. It's a 10 for me. It's the only 10 of the year so far.
A plus plus.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know what?
it's-
10. Yeah,
it's
me too.
perfect.
10.
It's
Yeah,
perfect.
10.
I'll give it a 9.8.
That is
A damn
that is.
great movie.
Hey, here's the thing though. If we rate these movies by numbers at the end of the year, Mission Impossible will be ranked number 1 just by those numbers.
Yeah, probably.
It's so amazing.
Nothing lower than a 9.8. Are you kidding me? Like that is crazy.
It's incredible. That's
Yeah,
why I'll never
so-
argue with you. I'm not gonna sit here and
Yeah,
tell you
well,
that you
I
should
would
like
like that.
Infinity War
It's-
more than
it's crazy.
Fallout.
Can't
you
argue.
know?
It's
like
It's damn near perfect.
Yeah.
Damn near perfect. Go see this movie if you have not seen it and you listen to this. I'm sorry, but it.
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Go see this movie.
yeah, Brian.
If you have seen it, go see it again because the movie is
man.
just so good. Obviously, you heard our thoughts. I can't thank Jacob and Keith for joining me. I can't thank them enough. And so we're gonna finish this off. Mission Impossible Fallout, our official spoiler breakdown of the film. We talked about everything we possibly could. Let us know what you thought of it in the comments. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Are there negatives to the movie? Do you think it can continue? What is the status of the franchise as far as legacy action franchises go? Let us know down there. We'll have some conversation. Again, thank you for joining us today. Boys, thank you for joining me again.
Thank you.
And until our next spoiler breakdown, see you guys later.